So a little bit ago, I made a video saying that I still support Donald Trump, despite the massive crackdown on him occurring from both the left and the right at the time, as well as the massive shaming of anyone who is still brave enough to say out in the open that they support him. I was, a couple of days later, after that, watching the James O'Keefe videos about Democrats planting mentally ill people, crazies, into the Donald Trump rallies. In fact, training them, well, not so much training as instructing them to incite violence into these rallies. So the Democrats can say to the people, can record these videos and say to the people, look how violent Republicans are, look how violent, look how monstrous people who support Donald Trump are. When in fact it is sabotage. It is infiltration and sabotage. This is a level of corruption that I never thought we would reach. Has probably been going on in American politics and politics all over the world to some extent throughout history, but this seems unprecedented to me. When I was in those brief government classes, or the days they talked about how the government works in social studies classes in middle and high school and beyond, which would always talk about how the American government is supposed to work, but hardly ever on the actual corruption that goes on. But I still never would have imagined this. And let's also go back to the shame game that they are planning. You know, even though this corruption has been released to the public, there will probably be no apology from the Democrat side. There will be no restraining of this. And yet Donald Trump is asked to apologize for any statement that he makes that the mainstream media deems to be a bit too far or too insensitive, as well as, well, what he calls locker room talk. I'm not even sure that's the right the right term for what it should be. It was a little outside of any kind of locker room talk I'm familiar with, but that doesn't matter, or almost doesn't matter. I mean, it was 11 years ago, and there are even a lot of women saying, it was a long time ago, and it's really, look, we don't need Donald Trump to be perfect. We don't need him to be a hypersensitive guy who shrinks back and resigns over this level of inappropriate talk. And also as to the women who have come forward saying he assaulted them and other things, the timing is really suspicious. And I know this has happened to entertainment stars and politicians before. Not to mention Bill Clinton has real accusations and real charges in his record. When they are trying to either make a name for themselves or or gain some sort of reparations, whether they deserve it or not, or it could be playing the shame game again. I would hate to think, even though I do suspect it, that they are being bribed or bullied to say these things, because that's even worse. It's worse than one person lying, because now someone is being bullied to lie. And if we really have to deal with all this, we can deal with it years down the road. We can do it after he's in office. We can do it after we've done some actual recovery and rebuilding of the country. We do not need Donald Trump to be a saintly person. We are in a religious war in the world right now, and we are very close to a real world war. Republicans see Donald Trump as not necessarily a representation of who they all are. In fact, no one person can be representative of an entire population as a whole. But he is our general right now, and we need him to win, and we need him to revive the country we've lost. Because we really have lost our identity as Americans. And anyone who tries to talk about logical reasoning as to why they support Donald Trump, anyone who backs it up with, we need him to defend our borders, we need him to help us recover the economy, we need him to help us handle the national debt, if that problem even ever can be fixed again. I have no idea. People have said that he's a denier of global warming or of environmental issues. He is not an environmental scientist. I don't expect him to be. I expect him to be a general right now, and a businessman, a money handler. That's what we need him for. Scientists will continue to work on the environmental issues, myself included. Anyone who right now says they are still with Trump is at massive risk, unfair risk, of being shamed and marginalized by their neighbors, their family, their communities. About half of my own family is savagely against Trump. They've even, by their own words, compared him to Hitler. Donald Trump is not Hitler. Not by a long shot. And I am saying I am going to continue to support Donald Trump because I think it's the right thing to do. I think we need him right now. I have made multiple videos explaining why. And I am going to make a call out to anyone who still believes that we do need Donald Trump in the White House rather than Hillary Clinton. We don't have a third option. It's either Hillary Clinton, it's either more of what we've seen for years and years and years, it's either more of someone putting the nation at terrible risk and at terrible risk for global war, or someone who can actually who actually knows how to handle money and budgets and borders. We need that right now. So, even if you get a lot of shame from your family, and it's happening to me, it's happening to my dad. I don't know about my brother. My brother's still too young to vote. It's kind of too bad, because if this were 4 years into the future, he could do it, but let's hold out for just these last 3 weeks. Hold out for these last 3 weeks, go and vote for Trump, and it's absolutely fine to not say who you're voting for, and vote for Trump. No one has to say who they're voting for. It is not information you're obligated to shout out to the public. You know, I don't really want to suggest lying, saying you've changed your mind and you're voting for Hillary Clinton, but actually vote for Donald Trump. First of all, I think that wouldn't work, because when you go to vote, you're always asked if you're voting Democrat or Republican. So unless you can, unless your strategy is to lie until you get to the ballots and then say you're voting Republican there. Unless that's your strategy, it's iffy, and I don't really want to advocate lying. There's a line from Albus Dumbledore in the fourth Harry Potter book, Goblet of Fire, which was way too long, by the way, where Dumbledore says truth is generally preferable to lies, and I very much believe in that. But we have been put in a situation where we are being unfairly shamed and attacked for wanting Donald Trump as our leader. So I will leave the decision to you. But hold out. Just hold out and hold strong for these last couple weeks. I really hope Donald Trump does too, even though the media and the Democrats are trying to rip him apart, and some of the Republicans too. Go vote for Donald Trump. If you are undecided, go vote for Donald Trump. We need to bring America back from the brink. And Hillary Clinton isn't going to do it, no matter what she thinks she can promise. Our only choice right now is Donald Trump. I used to see a lot of signs in my neighborhood. Those ballots with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, both with an X through them, and the note was, "We want better options." Well, we don't have any more options right now. Maybe the next election we can nominate someone who people like more. It's too late now. Go vote for Donald Trump.